Hello, my name is Greg Friedman. I'm a bioengineer, and on this channel, I like to chat about science with a bit of a twist to plasma, because that happens to be my specialty. And curiously, yesterday at dinner snack, wife asked me, what's the difference between corona treaters and plasma treaters? You see, she's in a web treatment, like a treatment of surface business. And that question comes up pretty often. So let's chat about this. But first, I'd like to tell you a little story. Happened in a shopping mall in Florida. Gosh, like at least 20 years ago. So we were all with family out just trying to kill time and stay in air conditioning, and we were in a shopping mall looking at watches. And this very eager sales lady, she was really pitching this particular watch to my dad. And she kept saying, oh, this watch is indestructible. It's just absolutely amazing. It has the tintin carbide coating. Well, I'm kind of familiar with chemistry. Tintin carbide. Never heard of it. And this was before iPhone in my pocket. So I wrote down the chemical, and by the time I made it to my laptop, I looked it up. That doesn't exist. Tungsten carbide does, however. And the sales lady was adamant. I mean, she repeated tin carbide 100 times. You know, tin is a metal. Carbide, I don't know what that is, but she was so convincing and pushing it like it's an amazing coating. I had to triple check. I looked up the watch, and yeah, tungsten carbide. Marketing. She was at the sales training probably and wrote it down wrong or remembered it wrong, and probably has been wrong ever since. So let's talk about corona treaters. You see, if memory and my research serves me right, and please, viewers, if you have corrections to this, please post them down in the comments, but I'll tell you this story as I remember it. So in the printing industry, you see you have the CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black on a drum. You put ink on a drum, then press it into paper, 4 drums, and then the ink on the paper is still kind of wet. So you need to either give it time to dry or somehow force dry it. And plasma is pretty good at extracting water, help the ink dry, or treat the paper so the ink sticks better. So printing industry was one of the early adopters of so-called corona treaters. And this was a long wire, thin wire, over the metal drum, connected to a DC high voltage, and there was a glow around this wire called corona discharge, and this helped treat the paper and dry the ink. Now, coronas are notoriously difficult to work with. If there's dust, there can be sparking, voltage is difficult to control. You're working with open high voltage, so those systems were quickly replaced with dielectric barrier discharge, where it was basically the same wire, but now the wire didn't have to be so thin, and it was coated with dielectric material. Now this system no longer can be DC, it needs to be alternating current, and high voltage AC, there's a lot of interference, and finally the printing industry largely replaced those systems with high power ultraviolet. Mercury 254 nanometer UV lamps, and even pulsed xenon broad spectrum high power UV lamps for pre-treating the paper and or drying the ink, and even photosensitive inks are used. So they basically, like a two-part epoxy kind of thing, or UV curable ink, that after the printing, it's immediately cured with UV. What's curious for me, I worked in the printing industry. I worked in a print shop to pay for my undergrad, so I'm very familiar with the print shop operations and, century presses that print money. Oh my God. Like, you walk into a shop and the whole place smells like brand new $100 bills. It's kind of cool. Good memories. But anyway, in the printing industry, originally, those plasma processing units were called corona treaters. They were quickly replaced with safer dielectric barrier discharge systems. But dielectric barrier, you know what, marketing folks just called it advanced corona treaters. So corona treaters became corona treaters. And when it was replaced with UV, again, marketing kept on calling it corona treaters. And now, if you're buying a printing press and there's the post-processor corona treatment, I have no idea what plasma it is. I don't. Even if it's even plasma, right? So it's not a straightforward question. Like, what's better, corona treater or plasma treater? Yeah, which corona treater, and what do you mean by the word plasma? Because plasma means a whole lot of things. Go to Sephora, the makeup store. They're selling plasma cream, face cream, anti-wrinkle, plasma. Has nothing to do with blood plasma, definitely has nothing to do with electric discharges, is just marketing. And I do get that question every so often, like, what does plasma have to do with the plasma cream? And nothing. Okay? Just cool marketing term. Somebody in the marketing was like, oh, plasma is cool. Let's call it plasma. There is, you can go on Amazon and buy a plasma pencil for skin treatment. Nothing to do with plasma. It's a pulsating hot needle. For some unknown to me reason, they called it plasma pencil. It's all about marketing. Humans are very interesting creatures. We are influenced by things we can't often straightforwardly explain. Just yesterday we had a discussion with a person who was involved in introducing photoactivated catalyst to completely destroy bad smell in the refrigerator. So you have this little UV lamp and a catalyst, surface catalyst, that with UV it's activated and it basically destroys any volatile organics in your fridge. Right? Like the kimchi. You bought some kimchi, you bought some nice stinky French cheese, you open the fridge and yuck! Smells horrible, doesn't it? What if I could remove that? Well, it's funny. They did it. And the consumer just rejected it. Why? You open the fridge and there is no smell. I can see food, but I can't smell the food. I don't even know if it's bad or not. Like, how do I know it went bad? I can't smell anything. Curious. Like, you would think you would want the smell out, but consumers did not accept it. Printing industry switched to safer dielectric barrier discharge, but kept on calling it corona treaters. Largely, my guess, marketing. So humans didn't accept it. It's fascinating, and I wonder how that will change now that we're using more and more using AI. How would AI interpret it? Because AI, or just Google search, if you search what is safer, corona treatment or the electric barrier discharge, well, DBDs will be safer. So you would likely select that, but that didn't happen. Anyway, so it was a really interesting question. It's not from one of your questions, it's from my wife, but I still thought I'd answer it here. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. Please post them in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.